The process is going to be the thing that will keep you in the promise. Some of you guys will be like, oh my gosh, like, God, give me more patience. Some of the things you're praying for, God is testing you in the process. You're saying, God, give me more patience. And he's putting you in a situation where your patience has to grow. You're like, God, give me more strength. He's putting you in a situation where your strength has to grow because of capacity. You can't be somebody who you're coming to ask God for a 1 litre worth of blessing, but your capacity is 100 milliliters. You're asking God for 1 litre's worth of blessing, but the bottle that you have is only worth 100 milliliters, which means that there comes a point that yes, it's overflow, but you can't contain it anymore. So there's certain things that you're meant to have that's actually now flowing out of you because you don't have the capacity. But the question is, God, what am I doing to actually grow my capacity? Oh, Hayley Mulenda back with the Building You podcast. Yeah. Do you know what? I introduced myself wrong. It's Hayley Mulenda Record now. But I thought, let me clarify it. Hayley Mulenda is actually my stage name. So I'm still Hayley Mulenda. So how we've done this is Mulenda is now my middle name and Record is my last name. So that's just so you guys know, because some people might be wondering, like, are you I haven't double barreled. Mulenda is my middle name so that I can be part of my stage name. And Record is actually my last name. But let's go into the episode. I hope that you guys have been enjoying, right? This is a new studio. What do you guys think? We are right now being sponsored right here in Dubai with the MPL Studios. They've been able to sponsor this podcast episode, and I'm so grateful to the MPL Studios here in Dubai in Business Bay. It's been an amazing experience, so check them out. But guys, we are getting into the episode, right? So the last episode, you guys would have seen my husband, right, doing business with Bay. And in this episode, the question that I have for many people and the question that I have for you is, can God trust you? Now, I've been saying this, 2024 is the year of more. You guys have been hearing me say 2024 is the year of more. Yes, there's more abundance. Yes, there is more favor. Yes, there is more mercy. Yes, there is more opportunity. But can you be trusted with it? Can you actually be trusted with more? Because some of the things that God actually wants to give you can actually crush you. Now, an old episode I did about 3 years ago on the podcast is, are you prepared for what you're praying for? And it's still the same energy. Are you actually prepared for what you're hoping for and praying for this year? Because a lot of people are coming into 2024 and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But the question is, are you competent enough? Because something that I'm constantly thinking about is, are you competent in the call? Because we have people who are questioning the call of God in their life, right? So I'm one person that's literally coming to say, don't question what you're called to, because your calling cannot be moved, it cannot be taken. It is in you, right? Before the beginning of time, because the Bible says, Jeremiah 1 verse 5, right? Before you was formed in your mother's womb, God knew you, which means that before you was formed, God already had a call for you. There was already a purpose inside of you, right? You was created with purpose and destiny already in mind. But the reality is that there's two things that a lot of people always lack in. They lack in the confidence in the Lord, and they lack in competence in the call. And today, that is what I'm going to go into. I want to talk about confidence. Are you confident in God in terms of knowing that he can actually take you somewhere, knowing that he can actually help you? And then are you competent with what he desires for you? And I'm going to talk about competence first, because one of the things that I find is that a lot of people lean on faith over competence. And I'm not against faith. You can hope for better days. You can hope for great opportunities. But the question is, can you handle it? Are you competent enough for it? Do you actually have the skill sets? Are you growing the skill sets? Yesterday, I had a hard conversation with my husband, and he was coming to saying, Hayley, the level that you're acquiring to get to, you're not disciplined enough yet. Ooh. That hit me. But one of the things I love is that my husband is somebody who is constantly challenging me and making sure that I'm disciplined enough to sustain the areas that I'm looking to get to. Because I always come and say, don't get gassed to be in the room. Because a lot of people just get happy to be at a room. I'm at the table, I'm in the room. Like, you know, there's mobile awards, there's Grammy awards. People will go and snap and be like, yeah, I'm in the room. But are you staying in the room? Like, are you going to be somebody that's a one-hit wonder? Are you going to be somebody that is going to just get gas at the fact that you're happy to be there? The reality is, it's not about being there, it's about staying there. Longevity is a thing that you should always be praying for. It shouldn't just be a thing where you're nominated for one award. Like, are you winning awards? Like the other day I got nominated and someone was like, how do you feel? And I was like, yeah, I'm grateful. I've been being nominated for awards for about 10 years. But the reality is that I've also won awards. And I'm grateful that I've been nominated, but I'm also grateful that I'm winning something, because it's showing a level of competence. As I said, it's not just one of those things to just be in the room. The attitude that you need to be having is, can I stay here? Like, what do I need to build to stay here? There's something that my husband was talking about yesterday. We're doing a course right now called Passion to Profit, where we're helping basically business owners, creators, freelancers go from 4 figures to 5 figures, or 5 figures to 6 figures, or helping those who are scaling from 6 figures to 7 figures. So we're doing this course right now, and we were basically talking about the fact that you can have money, but if you have holes in your your soul, the money is never going to be sustained. And the reality is there's some issues internally that you haven't necessarily dealt with that is stopping you from really accessing everything that God has for you. There was something else that he was saying, and he was basically talking about the fact that there's a lot of opportunity that's out there, but because there's no stewardship. And in the first episode, the comeback episode, I was talking about stewardship, and I was talking about the fact that the Bible says those who are faithful over few shall be ruler over many. Now, if you don't learn to be faithful over few, if you don't learn to be faithful over the one speaking engagement or the one client, please don't pray for tens. You want £1,000, how are you handling £10? There's people right now around me who I know that there's certain things that they will never attain, and there's certain things they'll never tap into because I'm seeing how they handle the small that they've been given. I'm literally watching them in the area of stewardship, and I've had some hard conversations with some of the people that I love. 2024, you need to learn stewardship. You shouldn't be trying to scale. Some of you's like, scale, bigger. Listen, something that I'm always praying and something that I'm always saying is, God, please deal with me privately so the enemy cannot have me publicly. The reality is, it's in God's mercy that he hasn't blessed you yet. Because if he blesses you, the enemy will have you publicly. Because he knows that you don't have the character, right? You don't have the capacity to handle everything you're praying for. Do you actually have the capacity? And it goes back to that question, can God trust you? Are you trustworthy to actually handle the rooms that you're going into? I'm one person who is a speaker. You guys know I'm a speaker. I can't stay at just speaking at school level. What do I mean by that? When I first started speaking, I started going into schools. Now I'm speaking in front of presidents. Now I'm speaking in front of people who are royalty in different nations, different countries. I'm not going to lie. The same level of curriculum that I was teaching when I was 16 years old is not the same level of curriculum that I can be teaching at the age of 26. People need to be able to see a 10-year growth. I want someone who has seen me speak when I was first 16 to see me now speak at the age of 26 and say growth. Something that I always come and say is that aging is mandatory, but growth is optional. The reality is some of you guys are aging, but some of you guys are not growing because you've been capped at a level of complacency. And I always come and say your replacement is birthed in complacement. Somebody will come and take your place. And what I mean by that, if you stop striving for a level of excellence, if you get to a place where you're just complacent, what happens is God will raise up another vessel. A story that I've been hearing about so much and really been thinking about is Moses and Joshua. Moses was competent. He wasn't competent enough though, because at the time when God actually told him, speak to the rock, he used his own strength. And the reality is he didn't get to see the promised land. Why? Because he wasn't competent enough. One of the things I love about Daniel is the Bible says that Daniel was 10 times wiser than the wisest men of the land, which means there was a level of competence that God could trust him to serve the king. Some of you guys are praying for high profile clients. Some of you guys are praying for bigger contracts. Can God trust you to even sit with a high profile client? Are you 10 times wiser than the wisest men of the land? Are you 10 times better? Are you 10 times a better editor? Are you 10 times a better speaker? And what are you doing actually to sharpen that skill? In the past year, I've been able to invest probably about £50,000 into my development as a speaker, into my development as a business, into my development as a person. And when people hear those figures, they're like, Hayley, you're crazy. But the reality is, if I want to touch a 7-figure or 8-figure income, and I'm not willing to put 5 to 6 figures into my investment, how can I be expecting that type of return on investment? And the reality is, we have people who are too entitled, that they want certain things, but not willing to put the work in. Behind me, you're seeing the skyscrapers. But the reality is, before a skyscraper is built, you have to dig deep. The foundation has to be deep. You have to dig deep. And the question is, are you willing to dig and deal with your habits, your bad habits? Are you willing to dig and deal with the lack of character in certain areas and the lack of capacity? Like, how open are you guys to actually refining your skill? How open are you guys to actually humble yourself and say, I don't feel I'm actually putting in the work? So the hardest conversation I had yesterday was probably the best conversation I've had in a while, where my husband literally looked at me and said, Hayley, you're not disciplined enough. The other day I went to the gym and I'd done some crazy workout. You'd think that I was preparing to do Royal Rumble. So I was doing this crazy workout, lunges, weights, backs. I was just going in. And I have not been to the gym for 2 months, but I'm out here gymming as if I'm going to the Royal Rumble, as if I'm going to fight The Rock or something. For 3 days, I could not walk properly. I thank God I can walk now, right? I was waddling around the bike. It was so hard. It was taking me about 10 minutes to just get in an Uber alone, because getting in the car literally was like, oh my gosh, this is hurtful. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I was having a conversation with God and I was like, bruv, the recovery. And he said, the recovery is taking longer because you don't have the capacity in the first place. The capacity is everything. The recovery is taking longer because you don't have the capacity. And some of you guys are getting blows left, right, and center. Life is life in. But the bounce back is determined by the capacity. What capacity are you building for you to really be able to hold what you're called to carry? Because the Bible is very clear. He comes to say, to much that is given, much is required. You want to be given a lot, but there's required a lot from you as well. Like, are you willing to actually do the extra work? Are you willing to actually read the extra books? Are you willing to invest in the extra course? Some people, they want breakthrough, right? But they're not ready for it. And I came and said, listen, guys, it's in God's mercy that some of you guys are not getting a breakthrough, because he does not want to embarrass you. That's how loving God is. He doesn't want to embarrass you. Guys, there's certain opportunities that I'm tapping into now that I was praying for at the age of 18. And now I understand exactly why I could not have it at the age of 18. I didn't have the capacity. There's certain clients that I knew I could not steward well at the age of 18 because my motives were all messed up. I didn't have the capacity. Like, even right now where we're scaling our business, the reality is God had to deal with me in the area of trust issues before he could even let me build with my husband, before he could even let me have certain conversations. And I feel like there's certain doors opening for me now I prayed for at the age of 18, and it's not that God had forgotten me. God came and said, Hayley, I need to give you process before success. And some of you guys are in the middle of that process, and I want to say, don't give up. Trust the process, because the reality is the process is going to be the thing that will keep you in the promise. Some of you guys will be like, oh my gosh, like, God, give me more patience. Some of the things you're praying for, God is testing you in the process. You're saying, God, give me more patience, and he's putting you in a situation where your patience has to grow. He's putting you in a situation where your strength has to grow because of capacity. Like, you can't be somebody who you're coming to ask God for a 1 liter worth of blessing, but your capacity is 100 milliliters. The bottle that you have is only worth 100 milliliters. There comes a point that, yes, it's overflow, but you can't contain it anymore. So there's certain things that you're meant to have that's actually now flowing out of you because you don't have the capacity. But the question is, God, what am I doing to actually grow my capacity? Like, what am I willing to actually do? What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to put myself through so that my capacity can grow? So the reason why I'm actually trying to get back into the gym is because mentally I'm looking to grow my capacity. And also in the gym, there's a lot of thoughts and there's a lot of things that I learned, because even when I was doing weights, even though it hurt me, guys, this workout nearly finished me, bro. But I understood, in order for me to build muscle, I needed resistance. Muscle is built in resistance. Right now, I'm in a place where I'm juggling so many things, right? I'm doing so many different things right now. Speaking, I'm doing business, music management, I'm consulting. Even right now, even though I'm in the UAE, I'm working across 3 different time zones. I've got some clients in America, I've got some clients in the UK, I've got some clients here in the Middle East. I'm working across 3 different time zones. The capacity is being stretched. But the reality is, last year I was stressed like crazy. So now there's a part of me that can handle some of the things that I'm dealing with, some of the things that are on my plate, but because this capacity was stretched. And also for some of you guys as well, I always come and say this, listen, don't come and say, God, I'm hungry, I want more blessings. And then when you get the food on your plate, you say, I'm too full, I'm overwhelmed, this is too much on my plate. But you prayed for days like this. You prayed for days like this. Some of you guys shouldn't be praying for more breakthrough. Some of you guys should be praying, God, increase my capacity. Give me wisdom to be around people who will strengthen me and help me and challenge me to increase my capacity. As I said, it's through God's mercy that there's certain breakthroughs that you're not tapping into, because he's so loving. He would not want you to mess it up publicly. There's something that Sterling said to me, and it's deep. And he said, we live in a world where people are more focused on image than identity. What's image? Image is on the outside appearance. It's like, look at me, look at what I'm doing, look at what I'm doing. But your identity is rooted in all the wrong things. Your foundation is in all the wrong things. So what happens is, it looks like you have it all together, but inside you're crumbling. And I never want to be somebody that it looks like I'm successful. I'm one person that I'm really at peace of my private life, by the way. Can I just say that? Like, I go to sleep at peace. Like, not everyone can say that. I can go to sleep at peace. Like, look at the smile on my face. Come on, this ain't no lie, man. I'm at peace. Yes, I'm working. Yes, there's certain things I'm going through. Yes, everyone's going through life. Everyone's experiencing certain things. But I'll be honest, I go to bed at peace. Why? Because I don't do image. I'm good. I know my identity. I know the God I serve. The Bible that says that those that know their God shall be strong and do exploits. For some of you guys, you need to understand the fruit of knowing God is strength, which means the fruit of knowing God is resistance. It's not that the breakthrough isn't available. It's the capacity isn't there. The next level that you need to get to, do you have the capacity? Like, I've got some friends that went and done Mount Everest last year, right? And I remember watching their journey for training. I remember literally watching them train on Instagram stories for months. And I remember reading their stories as they were documenting about doing the mountain climbing and doing the Mount Everest. Some people don't survive mountain climbing. Some people don't survive situations like that. And anyone that knows, the higher you go, the thinner the oxygen. So there's certain levels of training that you need so that you can learn how to breathe in hard conditions. And the higher that you're going, the question is, can you handle the conditions you're about to face? Like, if oxygen becomes thinner, have you built up the lung capacity to take in all the oxygen oxygen around you. And this is why I'm in a place in my life where I'm not trying to do more, I'm trying to be more. That's why I came off the podcast and I came and said, I don't want to do image. I want to speak from identity. I don't want to talk about what I'm doing. I want to talk about who I am. Like, what does my day-to-day routine look like? And the reality is, I know there's certain areas in my life that I know I need to up my discipline. I need to up my discipline in my area of health, gym, diet. I'm not going to lie. I definitely know that that's an area that I've fallen off in. I know when it comes to my study, there was a conversation I was having with Sterling the other day, and he came and said, Hayley, you don't study enough. I said, oh, and I thought I'm pretty good. He was like, yeah, when you study, you go in. And maybe I fell off because I'm not in uni anymore. Because obviously with university, I was studying, I was doing wider reading because there was a grade at the end of it. Now, what the issue is with some of you guys, because there's no one grading you, because there's no one watching you, because you don't have to do an assignment, because you don't have an obligation to do certain assignments and certain things, you feel like, why do I need to study? And also, as I said, it's so easy to pretend. It's so easy to do up image. We're in social media. Look at how many filters we have. Guys, we have ChatGPT. Some of you guys don't even need to write out your captions anymore. Why am I going to write out a caption about the world when I can just go on ChatGPT and say, give me a motivational caption and it's going to be okay? And I'm constantly just thinking to myself, what is it that you guys need for that next level? Because there's definitely something inside of you that you haven't necessarily worked through that's stopping you from attaining that next level. Guys, I'm coming on motivational Hayley, right? But I'm coming on some real stuff because some of the questions I've had to have at the beginning of 2024, I know is going to save my life. And I don't mean save my life physically. I'm talking about emotionally, spiritually. I know that this year, one of the greatest things I have to work on is boundaries. I was having a conversation with Sterling because there was someone that I don't want to come and say I let them violate me. That's not the term, but there were certain things that they were doing and I was letting it slide. And they said, oh, it's because you love the person. I came and said, it's not because I love them, it's because I'm loving. There's a difference, right? And it's also being able to understand the difference of who do you love and who are you loving towards. It's a different type of conversation. And I want to be around people who I love. My circle and my friendships, I want to be around people who I love, not around people who I'm loving towards. What do I mean by that? Just because I'm loving towards you doesn't mean I love you. And this is real talk. Some of you guys are entertaining people that you're loving towards. It's not people who love you and it's not people you should love. I've been questioning and I've been auditing the people around me. Like, do I love you and do you love me? Or is it just that I'm loving? It's in my nature to care. It's in my nature to be loving and giving. And I want to be around people who generally are edifying me. And I've been asking myself some really hard questions recently. Because in terms of environment, you are a product of your environment. You can literally manifest into the environment around you. And the question is, some of you guys are not going to hit a certain goal and hit a certain level because the people around you are never pushing you there. They're never challenging you. Like, I remember having a conversation and someone was saying love is to challenge. Because the Bible comes to say that you get rebuked from the Lord because he loves you. Like, discipline's actually loving. If you're not around a friend that is ready to check you, ready to correct you, then that is not love. That's cheerleading. I always said I don't want to be around cheerleaders. I want to be around people who give me that real talk. Someone who will give me the highest real talk. Best real talk is my best friend, Fee, because she's somebody who knows where I'm looking to go. You need people who are not going to hold you at a level of where you are now, but will hold you according to the calling of God on your life. You need people who will remind you of your calling. Like, where are you called to go? When you are called, and it's a conversation I have with someone who's pretty close to me. When you're called, there's certain things you just can't entertain. When you're called, there's certain rooms you can't step into. When you're called, there's certain actions you can't do. When you're called, there's certain things you cannot post. It's like Usain Bolt understands there's certain things that he cannot eat. Stormzy, I remember watching this routine of Stormzy in terms of a day in the life of Stormzy and in terms of the amount of workouts he does, the amount of times he's in studio, because he understands there's a call. That's what I said, to much that is given, much is required. Guys, I'm going back to the first thing. Can God trust you? Like, you're praying for more, but can you be trusted in the area of competence? Like, you're confident that, yeah, I'm the best, but are you competent? Because one of the things is that sometimes confidence can lead to your complacency. That's why confidence isn't good enough. It's competence. Because what will speak is your fruits. The amount of people that sometimes will start a conversation with me to tell me what they're doing. Listen, what you're doing don't gas me. It's your value. It's your impact. It's not your income. It's not your influence. You can have many followers, but are you influential? I know people who have many followers, but if they're to do an event, it's going to be a struggle for them to sell out an event because they've got influence, but they don't have impact. Like, the question is, do you have value? And the growth of process, the growth of character, widening your capacity, that is where value is birthed. That's when you become valuable. That's when you really start focusing on impact. Listen, I'm not about the income. Yes, I make money. I'm a businesswoman. I'm about profit, right? I'm literally about profit. Anyone that knows me knows the number game, I don't play with that. But the thing I don't play with over that impact. I'm always asking God, when I'm in a room, trust me to add value. So privately, I say, God, as I said, God, deal with me privately so the enemy can't have me publicly. For some of you guys, the enemy has literally got you publicly because you don't want to do the hard work privately. You don't want to deal with those demons. These are the areas that I want you guys to focus on. Number one, you need to deal with any lies that you believe about yourself, about life, anything in terms of mindset. Deal with your mind. That's the first thing you should deal with. All these things I'm going to teach you guys on is helping you increase your capacity. Deal with the lies. Another thing, deal with your trauma. Because if I'm being honest, your adulthood is an echo of your trauma. Not being able to deal with certain things in your childhood. I always say, what is it easier to burn? 100 trees or 100 seeds? It's 100 seeds, right? You need to understand the enemy is not trying to come for the trees. He's trying to come for the seeds. He came and attacked you in your childhood. He don't need to attack you in your adulthood. He came already planted a trauma in your childhood, and now it's just echoing and being triggered in your adulthood. What happens now is your adulthood is just a trigger of certain things you never dealt with in your childhood. Deal with your childhood issues. So number one, I said deal with the lies. Number two is deal with your trauma. Number three, deal with your idols. Deal with your idols. Can God trust you? Because some of you, the rooms that you're stepping into may become your God. The money you're about to make may become your God. The awards you're about to win may become your God. Like, can God trust you that the rooms that he's taking you into is not going to become an idol? And the last thing, and this is where we're going to end it, is environment, character. Can God trust your character? Because God is not a God to be mocked. Is your character in alignment with his character? When people think of your name, I always say this in the area of personal branding. When you think about KFC, the first thing you think is chicken. When you think about certain names, you think about Richard Branson, Virgin, John Maxwell, leadership, Eric Thomas, motivation, Joyce Meyer, you think ministry, women ministry. Certain names, straight away, there's another word association. The question is, when people think of your name, what words come to mind? Is it good? Does your character speak for you in rooms that you can't step into? I know there's certain people that cannot get certain business deals or certain opportunities because of character flaws, and they don't want to deal with it. Imagine your character stopping you from really attaining and really stepping into the places that God has for you. Deal with your character. Guys, all these areas, if you really deal with the internal stuff, I'm talking about behind the scenes, if you increase your capacity, you are basically letting God know you can trust me, because the reality is, I said, to much that is given, much is required. But guys, as we're coming to the end of this episode, I just want to just remind you, it's not about getting in the room. It's about staying there. It's about staying there, guys. I'm hoping and I'm praying that through this podcast episodes, as I said, I'm coming back bigger and better, right? It's Hayley 2.0. I'm on cruds. I ain't got time. I ain't got time to play around. I'm a married woman now. I'm a grown woman. I'm on some grown stuff, which means that the conversations that we're going to be having is going to be some real talk, because we need it. Because as I said, there's no accountability on social media. It's so easy for everyone to just be like, yeah, look at the followers I got. Look at the rooms I'm getting into. Nah, you need to be held accountable, G. I always come and say, everyone's pointing fingers, but no one's checking mirrors. You're pointing to everyone else and saying, oh, this person's a problem, but what about you? So guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Yeah, we are currently here, as I said, in the Metro Pod Lounge Studios. They sponsored this podcast episode here in Dubai. I'm so grateful. But guys, God bless you. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, right? Follow us on the at buildingyou.podcast and at Hayley Mulenda everywhere. Follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I am everywhere. Just know I'm your sister. I'm cheering you on. I'm your cheerleader. And just remember, Building You podcast is here helping you to not just do better, but to be better. God bless you guys, and I'll see you guys next week for the next episode. Yeah, we out.